All right.
Cue the siren.
Siren. Should we just start this?
No, just keep going. Let's roll.
Let's go with it. Hello, everyone. I am Bianca, and this here is Tanner, and we are Common Sense Editors. We are here every Tuesday to walk through a different tool that you can use with your classroom. You can always check us out at commonsense.com/education. You can see that right there to see all of the resources that we've reviewed and tools that might be helpful for you to use to really save you time. So today, Tanner is going to be walking through a tool with you. Tanner, over to you. What tool do you have for us today?
We're going to talk about NexGen News, which we gave a 3-star rating. This is a relatively new product, so it's definitely has room to grow. We gave it the grade range of 6 to 8, although it covers grades 3 through 5 as well, but I'll get into why we didn't include those. This is a paid platform, although it has a 60-day trial. But after that 60-day trial, if you want it, you're going to have to pay about $239 annually, which is very similar to Time for Kids, which we've spoken about previously, kind of the going rate for these news magazines. The important thing about NexGen News versus Time for Kids, however, is that it is a bi-weekly website with video broadcasts hosted by young people, which makes it pretty unique, I think, in the space. It reminds me of a product called Channel One when I was in school that was around. They would beam it into the TVs and you could watch a news broadcast. I think even Anderson Cooper may have been part of that. I'm not positive, but that's kind of the pitch here with this, is that they have this teen, maybe or early 20s. I can't tell the age of people anymore. People who are hosting these telecasts that run about 4 minutes, and they're about current events. So this is one of their free lessons that they let you preview. And this one is on, of course, the whole Elon Musk acquisition of Twitter and all of that business. So they have these great little videos. They are a bit, as we called them in the review, homespun. They're not highly polished, but I think it gives them a little bit of a flavor of like a school broadcast that I think is actually quite appealing. And then the standout to me beyond these biweekly newscasts is that they have robust, ready to go lessons that are very in depth for each of these. I wouldn't call them as innovative as the Time for Kids content in terms of the lesson content, but there is a lot of it and it is super easy to implement. So let's take a look at some of that, and I can kind of show you how these videos look. Of course, we can't play it with the audio, but you can get a little sense of how they are. They're pretty neat. And I believe the bi-weekly release of news comes with a couple of these videos at least, and some lessons. So you're not just getting the one, but you might need to fact check me on that. Here's the pricing breakdown. The thing about the pricing is there's also a $299 a year version, and that one adds quizzes and writing prompts that get, or at least the quizzes get auto graded, which is a nice feature. For an extra $60 a year. But let's take a look at the lesson plans. This is the one that goes along with the Twitter and free speech. You can see they time it out at about 60 minutes. I would say maybe that's even like I could see this stretching into a couple class periods, honestly. But it's got everything you need, including a set of assets that we'll go over here. But a nice, text document that really is your kind of teacher guide to the lesson. And you can see that in the sequence here, the video is a small portion. It's sort of the hook of the lesson. And then the rest of the lesson digs into other materials like articles. And each of these lessons includes a slide deck that structures the whole lesson. So it prompts you to watch the video. And then you go through the definitions and presentation with a class discussion. Tons of content in these slide decks that really is truly ready to go. You can just kind of bring this into the classroom and you're off and running. And then these slide decks then point to other assets like an adapted article. And what's important to know is they have one for grades 3 to 5. And then for the same topic, they'll have one for grades 6 to 8. And they adjust the reading level. Now, here's the catch. If you recall, we said that the grade range we modified to 6 to 8. That's because in our review, when we looked at this content and the reading level of it, it scored much higher than the targeted 3 to 5 grade range. So we felt like these materials aren't quite optimized for that true elementary population. And they also don't have like an adjustable reading level available to kind of like change it on the fly like some other similar sites. And there isn't much in the way of support in general. So that's kind of why we kicked it up, but you may be able to adapt it for your own purposes. And certainly the slide deck you might be able to use with grades 3 through 5, as well as the video. So, it's kind of up to your classroom and your needs and how much work you want to put into it. And then there's also these quizzes that are like basic comprehension quizzes and a writing prompt, basically a short response. And then they also include graphic organizers here that connect to that slide deck and a more in-depth writing assignment. And this kind of explains that writing assignment here. And you're basically making an argument incorporating 3 reasons why free speech matters in this example, and then 2 ethical issues. So this, once again, this seems for grades 3 to 5 a little challenging. Not quite sure, but I do think these can be easily adapted if you just do your own examination of the language here and maybe do your own adjustment and modification. And I should say that they do include at the very end, or maybe it's in the lesson plan itself. Here you go. They do have differentiation suggestions for like English learners as well as gifted learners, which is nice. So it's really, the short story here is, this is one to watch, I would say. But especially if you're looking for engaging current video content, this may bump up to the top of the list for you, because I think that's a differentiator that you just do not see with other providers. But there's definitely room to grow for NexGen News, I would say, but something to check out.
Awesome.
And that's, did we put up the URL? It's at nexgennews.com.
Yeah. And one question, what are some of the other topics that it goes into? So we have the freedom of speech lesson. What are some of the options?
Yeah, you can see here a few examples. They kind of give you a little picture. It's very current event focused, which I appreciate a lot of, and I think we may have talked on the show before. A lot of news sources for kids tend towards the more lighter side of content, where this digs directly into current events and important issues. So, you've got, they're not straying away from tough topics. So that gives you a little bit of flavor. They also have some nice words of the week and image of the week content you could use as well.
Sweet. Well, thanks so much. This looks like a really awesome tool and definitely one to watch. Thanks for talking through it. Now we are over to our banner. You can find more reviews like this at commonsense.org/education, or check out reviews from us on Tuesdays.